Good morning, good evening, good afternoon guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you have a beautiful day and that you're staying safe and that you guys are well, because that's what's most important to me. So you're going to need to get a drink because this video is a story time and it's a strange one. So I've mentioned before on this channel that my results day experience wasn't your typical results day experience. And I'm going to explain why. So before we get into this video, if you are new, hello, my name is Sophie and I study Spanish and French at Stirling University, and it would mean the world to me if you click the big fat subscribe button. It's the red one down the bottom which says subscribe, and join the family, because it seems to me that a large percentage of you who watch my videos aren't subscribed, and that just really hurts my feelings, okay? So when I applied to universities, I applied to Edinburgh, Glasgow, Aberdeen, Stirling obviously, and Manchester Metropolitan. And my first choice was Stirling. My second choice was Manchester Metropolitan. Now this is where it gets kind of crazy, okay? So my offer was a conditional offer for Stirling and I needed 3 Bs, and my offer for Manchester Met was a B and 2 Cs, I think, or maybe 2 Bs and a C, I can't remember. So without being said, I worked my butt off at A-levels. I could not have studied anymore. Like, if it was physically possible. I mean, it just wasn't physically possible. I mean, that's the point here. So when it comes to results day, I knew that whatever happened, I'd put in all the work that I could. And I knew that I'd left no stone unturned, and I was super proud of myself for that. For those of you who don't know, I dreamt of coming to Stirling University since I was about 12. So it was really important to me, and I was so anxious come results day. I couldn't sleep the night before, I felt sick, and I was so nervous. But I was also really excited because in my head, I knew that my exams had went well, and I knew that I was in with a very good chance of getting to my first choice, so Stirling. So the morning of results day came around and I got a text from Manchester Metropolitan at around about 7:45 in the morning saying, congratulations on results day, and saying that they were really looking forward to seeing me in September. My mind went crazy. So I basically received a text to say that my second choice was looking forward to seeing me in September. So clearly I hadn't met my grades. This was what was going on in my head. Clearly I've not met my grades. I just wanted to get into pick up my results and leave and just feel sorry for myself, kind of thing. So results day, I think you could pick up your results from 8 o'clock, and I got this message as we were like kind of getting ready to leave. I wasn't in a rush to get to school to pick up my results, but like I wasn't taking forever kind of thing, like I wanted to know. So the drive in, I already knew that I had been rejected from Stirling. In my mind, I knew that I'd been rejected from Stirling. So I was really holding back the tears going into school already because I'd had that message from Manchester Metropolitan. That's not me saying Manchester Metropolitan is a bad university. Don't get me wrong, I would have enjoyed it there. I just knew that Stirling was the place that I wanted to be, and I dreamt of it since I was a little girl. So for me, to have that dream taken away from me just with a text message was devastating. So I went in and picked up my results, and without looking at the envelope, I just gave it to my parents and was just like, I don't want to look at it. I don't even want to think about it. I just kind of want to lick my wounds and leave. But I was kind of cornered, not cornered, but I bumped into my French teacher. Love her to bits, still keep in touch. And she was like, oh, congratulations, you'll be so happy. Because she was French, like she was the language department, she knew what I got in Spanish as well. And she was like, oh, you'll be so happy with your grades, blah, blah, blah. So I was thinking, right, it's PE that's let me down, because I did French, Spanish and PE A-levels. And PE was my hardest A-level by far. And because she seemed so happy, she was like, oh, well done, well done. You'll be so happy in all of this. And she was like, have you opened them yet? And I was like, I don't want to. And she was just like, go on, you've got to open them, blah, blah, blah. And she talked me into opening the envelope. So my parents was kind of in the background like, oh, what do we do? Like, she's obviously had this text, like, she's gonna like burst out crying. I was already on the verge of tears, and she was like so happy for me because a lot of people at my school knew I dreamt of Sterling from like day one. And I don't know, I think teachers can see all your grades, I'm not sure. So I basically slowly opened that envelope, and I just knew what was coming. Like, I knew I'd been rejected, and I didn't even want to see the fact that I'd been rejected. So I opened the envelope, bearing in mind my offer for Sterling was 3 Bs. And I opened the envelope and I pulled it up, and French and Spanish were first on there, and I seen that I got Bs. And then I pulled it out further, and PE, I got a B. So I was so confused at this point. I was like, how have I been rejected and yet I got the offer that they gave me? Like, they gave me this offer. I'm so confused. And I just looked at her, and like, the tears were like strolling down my face at this point, and I was like, what is happening to me? Like, why is this happening? I was like, I've got my offer and yet they've still rejected me. And I was like, why? So I basically explained the situation to my French teacher, and she was like, oh, that's so strange. Let's log on to your UCAS. So I logged onto my UCAS on her computer, and it basically said, rejection from Stirling University, accepted from Manchester Met. And like, I had the bit of paper to say that I had the grades, and I was so confused. Like, if you imagine, like, my emotions were all over the place, and I was like, what is happening to me? So I was panicking. Like, I was so panicked. This was the university I dreamt of for effectively 6 years, since I was a little girl. I had the grades, but UCAS was telling me that I wasn't accepted. So I went to the head of sixth form. He was so helpful, bless him, honestly. He put so much effort in, and he doesn't get enough credit from the sixth form students at all, and he definitely didn't win my year. But I went to my head of sixth form, Mr. Parry, and was like, obviously I was like so emotional, and was like, I've got this piece of paper to say I got my grades. And he was like, I don't want to speak to you. I only want to speak to people who haven't met their grades. And I was like, no, but you don't understand that I've been rejected. And he was really, like, his face was just like, what? So he logged on because he could see my UCAS, and he basically said, I'm gonna look to see if there's any subtext, like if there's anything that you had to meet, like if there was any certain like little requirements. But he said to me, he was like, I'm really confused because you've got the grades that you've told them. So he went on, and then he basically looked at the offer, and it said 3 Bs, and that's all it said. Like, there was no subtext, there was no small print, nothing. And he was just like, why have you been rejected? And he could not work it out. So my dad was like, oh, I'm sure it's probably just a technical thing, like my dad trying to like cheer me up kind of thing. And he said to Mr. Parry, he was like, oh, does this happen all the time? And Mr. Parry just turned to him and went, nope, this has never happened before. And I was just like, why? Why me? Like, of course this is happening to me. And I was like, am I gonna get in? Like, am I gonna... Bearing in mind, I'd not even looked at accommodation from Manchester Met. I hadn't even looked at... I mean, I went to the open day, but I didn't really care because I knew I had my sights set on Stirling. So I was like, am I gonna get put to Manchester Met even though I got my grades? Am I gonna have to find accommodation? And then I was also thinking, what happens if Stirling still want to take me? And what happens if they still take me? And then I was like, is my accommodation going to be let go because I've been rejected? Like, what's going to happen? So all of this was running through my head. Meanwhile, I was trying to sort out which university I was going to, and I was like freaking out. So Mr. Parry went on the phone to UCAS, and basically what had happened was they'd misentered my results. So where I'd got 3 Bs, they must have put into the system that I'd got 2 Bs and a D, which I'm not sure where they got that from. I mean, a B kind of looks like a D, I guess, but they were like, there's nothing we can do from our end. So we were like, how are we going to get this fixed? So my head of sixth form, Mr. Parry, basically said to me, he was like, you ring Stirling, I'll ring Manchester Met and explain the situation. So I rang Stirling and was like, hi, I've got my grades and blah, blah, blah. Stirling was so helpful, honestly. The people in admissions in Stirling, oh, honestly, they are incredible. They were so helpful. And they basically told me that my place was safe. And so immediately my heart was like, oh, thank you, thank you. So I was told my place was safe, but they couldn't take me until Manchester Met released me. So basically I had to get Manchester Met to release me so that they could then bypass me through in clearing, even though I'd actually got my firm choice. So they basically did this side swoop thing, and it was supposedly going to take like 2 days. Meanwhile, I'm freaking out about accommodation. Like, am I still going to get to like live in this accommodation that I've already applied for, or am I going to have to reapply for accommodation? Am I actually going to get accommodation now? All of this stuff was like going through my head, and I was like freaking out. Meanwhile, I didn't have the chance to process that I got into this university which I dreamed of from the age of 12. So at this point, so many family members were trying to text me and trying to call me to ask how I'd done, because they knew that I was going to pick up my results at a certain time. I'd already been there for like 40 minutes and they were like, why is this taking so long? Why haven't we heard? So they were like ringing and stuff like that, and it was so stressful. Basically, my head of sixth form came off the call with Manchester Met. They released me, so I was then in kind of like limbo. And then Stirling were like, right, we're gonna speak to UCAS and get them to like put you over, but eventually that was going to take too long and I was freaking out. So they were super accommodating, and they basically did like a little side swoop through clearing and basically put me in with the clearing lot. So I was immediately put into Stirling University. So then within an hour of that, I got my confirmation email from Stirling University and I could just breathe again. But oh my goodness, of course that happened to me. This is nothing against UCAS at all. It's just a blip. But I just want to tell you, like, if I could go back to that day, I would tell myself, don't freak out just because you got a text from Manchester Met. It all started with that text from Manchester Met at like 7:30 in the morning. And from that point, I was convinced. And the thing is, like, results day is already a stressful and emotional time as it is, and I was one of the lucky ones to get my firm choice in the end. Like, I was very lucky. A lot of people in my year, because it was the year that they changed the A-level system, a lot of people didn't get their first choice, and I was really lucky. But that kind of feeling and emotion of being really, really elated at getting a university that I dreamt of for since I was a little girl was kind of masked and slowly, I mean, it was a bit of a roller coaster. So, I mean, I wouldn't change that journey for the world, because, I mean, it just made me more sure of the fact that I needed to be at Stirling, and I knew I needed to be at Stirling. And at that split second, it was a massive life lesson, because I had achieved what I thought I hadn't achieved. And I think, like, just know that it's not the be-all and end-all. Like, yes, if I'd have went to Manchester Met, I don't dispute I wouldn't be as happy as I am in Stirling. And I know that for a fact, because Stirling is the place for me. But at the end of the day, like, I would have still got a degree. I still would have been in a good place. It still wouldn't have been a bad place to be. And I would still have enjoyed my degree. Like, that's no doubt, because I have such a passion for Spanish and French. But I knew that I wanted to be at Stirling, and I knew that I wanted, and the thing I would say, if you know you want something, go and get it. Chances are, I think I'm probably the only person that UCAS has messed up, and that's incredible. Like, they are such a they have such a big role on results day. And yes, they just got mine wrong, but it was a massive learning experience. So I just wanted to share this with you because it's kind of humorous now looking back on it. It obviously wasn't at the time. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button if you're new, like I said before, and ring the notification bell so that you get notified every time I post a video on Monday at 11 AM. I often post extra videos during the week, and I always post university and swimming or sport related content. So stay safe, guys. I love you guys so much, and I'm wishing you all the best when it comes to getting your offers and getting your results from your universities. Bye, guys.